a soft little touch. Perfect little package.
It's been a
Right,
pleasure.
fuck off now, I'm going. I wish I knew about therapy years ago. I wish I knew about how you can be manipulated by men. I had a breakdown, tried to hang myself. Well, I didn't try, I did hang myself. Then I self-medicated on coke. Why do I feel the need to keep having surgery? It's not normal.
What are the 3 red flags you've learned from the relationships that you've been in, or behaviour types that you would have as a harsh red line from now? Hi, and welcome to the next episode of Outlet 10 Discussions podcast. I'm Maya Ray, the host of today's episode, and today I'm fangirling, I'm not going to lie. I am here with a living legend. Some would say she's a national icon. Welcome to the couch, Katie Price.
Hello, thanks for having me. I would say I'm like a dinosaur.
Don't be silly.
I'm that. Do you know how many people I meet and they're like, oh, even like the driver, oh, I followed you from when you was younger. And I look at him and I'm like, well, how old are you then? You make me feel even older.
Do you know what's so interesting? I think that's something that we'll definitely get into, but you're a person who's lived so much of your life in the public eye.
Since I was 17. That's all I know.
It's crazy because I think now we're seeing so many people have their 5 minutes of fame, and you're somebody who's kind of like overcome that. Why do you personally think that is?
Do you know, if I knew that, I would create lots of mini me's, because then they'd be lasting as long as I've, like 30 years next year. I've been in the industry. I don't know what it is. Like,
I think I do.
I'm not managed. Like, I'm not manufactured.
Yeah.
I am what I am.
Yeah.
And I've gone through real life experiences.
Yeah.
And got on with it. And I think because I started so young, once one trauma or something's happened, I just move on to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next.
Well, that's what I want to focus on today. Not the trauma, but actually, I think what's made you so successful is how relatable you are.
Relatable. I'm definitely relatable. I can tell you that. Like, when you met me today, I'm not, no entourage, come on my own. Literally. And just chat. I'm so laid back and chilled, and I think people don't realise, obviously you can't control what the media say, but if I looked at myself in the media, I'd be like, oof.
I think you're so misrepresented. And I think
misunderstood,
misrepresented. And when I was given the opportunity to interview you, I was so excited because for me, I've just turned 30. Like I said,
you don't look it.
Thanks, the cheeks.
Love it.
I've just turned 30, and I feel like I've been through so many different phases of my life that actually mirror or are relatable to things that you've been through. You've just been through them in the public eye.
Which is hard.
Which is so hard. And I think with this podcast, what I want to do today for the viewers is, rather than ask you the boring questions or the drama or the trauma-filled questions, I actually wanted to focus on coming together with a bit of a manifesto or like a rule book of how Katie lives her life based on what you've been through.
Well, I wish I knew about manifesting years ago.
Okay.
I wish I knew about therapy years ago.
Yes.
I wish I knew that an ADHD thing exists. And I wish I knew about how you can be manipulated by men.
Yeah.
I wish
You're covering all the things we're going to talk about.
And I wish I knew that this industry is so cutthroat, so much bullshit is said to you, this, that. And I realise now where I am now, I was only a product to people. Are they around now? I'm one about people I've worked with. No. Why? Because they're not making money off you. They're your best friends at the time.
Yeah.
Honestly, like personally and with work, I've had like parallel journeys.
Yeah.
And a home life.
So taking those kind of thoughts, how would you sum that up in a sentence for another young 20-year-old girl who's watching this podcast? So like you say, being a product, do you think your experiences, how do they relate to what women are going through now?
I say this to Princess and obviously Junior, but mainly Princess, because I think girls, you know, there's more about, it's easier to sell a girl, I suppose, in the industry, you know,
sex sells.
Than a guy.
Yeah.
And times are different from when I started, because when I started, there was no social media. You just relied on print, as in newspaper, magazines. That was it.
Yeah.
There was no right to replies. There was none of that. So I have gone through all of that. Whereas now you've got a voice. But also, girls now, it's so different because they can airbrush, filter, put however they feel they want to be portrayed. Most of it's all fake, what people do, but people buy into it and believe it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's quite troubling. And you get a lot of catfishes, this, that. It's more, I think nowadays, anyone without hard work can just be famous overnight. I've grafted and grafted and grafted. And I wish they had all this when I started. Wish they did. But at least I can, and I think my kids know, they know that I've grafted from the beginning, like properly.
Yeah.
And just haven't had overnight success from a comment I've made or because I've been on some reality show. And I'm not knocking it for people because it's not their fault. That's just the way the world is now.
What do you think?
I think it's harder for people because you get trolls, you get, the online abuse.
How do you think you've benefited, though, by grafting, by earning your stripes, so to speak? Why do you think that that's put you in a potentially better situation than someone who's just blown up overnight? Because in some ways, I guess you could argue that you've grown a thick skin over time.
Yeah, although I might have grown a thick skin, at the same time I've learned that's also not healthy because I built up a wall.
Okay.
So I remember back in interviews, I'd be like, no, it doesn't matter what anyone says about me. I've got a wall up.
Yeah.
But in time, behind that wall, your poor little head ruminates and thinks of things and triggers this, that, you get to a breaking point. And that's exactly what happened to me because it's so fast paced. I'm doing that, this.
I
that
think
you don't
women
have
feel
time
like that anyway. I definitely do. I get burnt out, and I'm not living my life in the public eye, so I can't imagine how hard it was for you, kind of growing up in the age of that transition of social media, because you've seen it or you've been a part of it.
Yeah, but I never knew I'd still be sitting there 30 years. I was training to be a nurse, and then suddenly I was a model. But I thought, it might just be about for 2 years to enjoy it. Yeah, I'm still sitting here now and it's like a flip chart in my brain. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I did that, I did this. But the generation these days, they have no idea what I've done in my part, no idea. And I think if a lot of people knew really what I've done, they'd be like, bloody hell, she has done a lot, experienced a lot.
So tell us then, tell us.
I hate being big-headed.
Tell us, that's so important, I think.
I'm not big-headed. I hate that to say, I've done this, I've done that, I've done that. I have done a lot.
But in terms of something that people would be surprised to know about you, because I think I saw your recent post about how the media have kind of owned this narrative about you that's so untrue and so false.
I think I'm an easy target for them. I think because I started so young and I was getting pictured coming out of nightclubs. When you're young and 17, you're being pictured and you see yourself in the paper, you're like, I'm in the paper, So when you go out with your mates, you're like, and you play up to the cameras. When really, that was the start of, I suppose, the media making me like a caricature. And obviously, years on, they follow my story. And I just become an easy target. You could just write about her. Because there's so, even now, every day I'm online. Every day there's a story. And I'm like, wow, what have I done now? What? They've made a story out of that. So I must be relevant, but I don't know why.
So talk to me about...
Because you can have the best PR person in the world, and if the media don't want to write about you, they won't.
Yeah, totally. And this is what I kind of want to talk about, like I said, throughout today's conversation about what is that X factor that you've always had.
I don't know.
That's made... But I think for me, it's obvious to see. Like I said, some people are just born with it, and you clearly were born under a lucky star, so to speak, in
Must have done. Although, I say this to people, it's like a scale. I have so much good luck, but at the same time, way down bad luck. It's always, there's something good and then something bad.
That's an important message. That's an important message.
So nothing's always good. And there's always, real life situations that you have to go through. But then when the media write about stuff, it's hard because say for yourself, you can have a problem and it's just amongst your family and friends. Imagine it being magnified twisted, turned, and then for everyone else to read and judge you on it.
I could not. Like,
And
I panic even when, like, someone in my family knows about something that I haven't personally told them. You know what I mean? Your mum tells your aunties and all that kind of situation.
Yeah, it's very it's very exposing is the word.
It's intrusive as well.
It is, but when you're younger, I didn't know, because I was literally just sort of thrown in it.
Yeah.
And just carried on. You know, when I was 17, I'm like flying abroad to like Arizona doing calendars and that in the middle of the desert and things like that.
Yeah.
When I look back at that, I was a baby.
So did anybody go, like, did your mum go with you when you first started? You was literally
just sort of on my own in my little Fiesta, my A to Z.
Yeah.
Driving around London. I bet half the people don't even know what an A to Z is, because I use a sat nav now. Oh my God, it's so old school. When I used telephones and I had the brick phones. Oh my God, because I look now at technology and stuff as well, how that's moved on.
How fast it's moved.
And I look at my kids, I'm like, do you know, when I was younger, a pillar box to me, I had fun on.
Yeah.
Who can climb on top of that? Or just ride around on our bikes.
Yeah.
It's not like that. Everyone's so obsessed.
With themselves.
And social media and computer games, this, that, like.
So how old is Princess now?
She'll be 18 in June.
And how is 18-year-old Princess or 17-year-old Princess different to 17-year-old Katie?
Well, I keep saying to June and Princess that me and Pete have mollycoddled them.
Okay.
Yeah, because I've always I wouldn't like them to have got on a train, that. I'd rather have taken them.
Yeah.
Lived in the country, so they can't hang out in the street, the town. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But me and Princess, people find it so hard to believe, but it's an absolute fact. She's 17.
Yeah.
We have never, ever had an argument.
Wow.
Never had a disagreement. Never raised our voices at each other. Nothing. And people are like, that can't be true. And it's like, I promise you it is.
Why do you think that is? Is that a conscious thing that you wanted?
No, we just naturally like it. And like, she done content the other day, actually yesterday. And like the night before, Mum, can you get me 6 outfits out? I'm like, why do I have to get you 6 outfits? Oh, please, Mum. So she uses my clothes for her content.
Yeah.
And I look at it and think, well, maybe I should be flattered. It's either one of the things. I'm 46, but the 17-year-old likes my clothes.
Yeah.
And then I think, but should I be wearing what 17-year-olds do? I think, which is what? She just, everything I like, trainers, my trackies, little tank top, just everything.
That's so self-aware though. I gotta give you that.
She wears my outfits, and I'm like, now what if I want to wear that outfit now?
Yeah, it's true. You don't want to be in competition.
But I do love it though. We're so close.
It shows in some ways what you've just told me reflects on how where you were in the desert by yourself doing those calendar shoots. It shows that you are that support for her. You're giving her that someone to lean on while she's kind of coming into that industry a little bit in terms of being a content creator.
I didn't like. When I was younger, I didn't do all parties, go out with my mates till very late on. I didn't start clubbing. And Princess is the same. They're not into clubbing, not into going out drinking. Yeah. We're all very at home, cook, watch TV. I mean, we're not boring, but I think there's more to life than just doing that. Yeah. Although she is looking forward to going, she doesn't really like alcohol either. And Junior's not the same. Although he does all his music. Yeah. They just really rarely haven't got the urge to go clubbing. But once I did start, the clubs and that were like Sugar Reef, Red Cube, all of that, Emporium. The days even going out are not the same.
I was going to say, I think
just so not the same.
That clubbing kind of like environment has just changed so much that I think like my little brother's 18 and like, when he turned 18, maybe in 30, my mum and my dad are like, yeah, let's go to a club now you're 18. He's like, oh, cringe, that is so embarrassing.
Yeah, no one does it. But back in the day, me and my friends were so excited, getting ready with the music on.
Literally, that's the best
getting
part.
Getting in and walking in. It was such a vibe. And I have been in clubs now because I also do club PAs. It's just so different. No one really makes an effort. So then I turn up in jeans and that. Whereas back in the day, you wouldn't be like that. Yeah, you'd go to town and dress up.
Literally.
Just everything's changed. But I'm happy I've seen both sides.
Yeah. How do you compartmentalize like the different parts of your personality? So, you know, for a long time, you were just known as Jordan.
But I didn't change my name to Katie Price either.
So talk to me about how Jordan came about, that name, that identity, and we don't ever hear you referred to as Jordan anymore. So what kind of happened?
This is another thing. I don't even know myself, but Jordan came because I was, what was the word? So someone didn't turn up for page 3 in the Sun. That's where women would go topless on page 3. So my agent said, do you want to go along for it? But we'll have to change your name because it can stop you getting other work. So I remember being on the way to this shoot, saying, well, what shall I be called then? Was coming out for names. And then I think his name was Paul. He was the booker at Samantha Bond Management. He went, what about Jordan? I said, oh, that would do. Thinking nothing of it. Nothing of it.
Yeah.
And then that stuck with me. So all through the magazine years, and then as soon as I started having kids, it's weird because then on the front of the mags, if I had a night out, oh, Jordan's out on the town. But then if I was with my kids, Mum Kate is with her kids.
Interesting.
So that's how it started. They started Jordan, this girl, and then you got Kate, that girl.
So the media were kind of responsible
wasn't me,
for that split.
No.
And how did you
I
handle
didn't
it?
suddenly say one day, right,
Don't
from
call me
now
that.
on, don't ever call me Jordan. Because at the same thing, I am the same person, whether I'm Jordan or Kate, I am the same person. There's no difference. It's just I've moved with times. Like I do my OnlyFans. And you would never see pictures of me in a bikini on my Instagram or underwear because that's how I made a living doing it for magazines. So why would I give it away free? So I do it for OnlyFans, exactly the same thing as what I used to do in the magazines. And I think the older generation who have followed the Jordan days and that are on the site.
And
so
how has your journey been with OnlyFans? Because one of my questions was like, you're a woman who's, I think, been really empowered by owning her sexuality. Like that's been kind of like the narrative of your career. And how have you managed that fine line between like empowerment and being exploited? I think that's something that a lot of young girls are struggling with now.
So I have children. And I would never put anything out on OnlyFans that my kids wouldn't like. Because not on that they're on my OnlyFans, but you've got to remember, Junior's 19. He's got mates. And probably some of his age group or older go on OnlyFans. I'm not saying they go on mine, but they might, I don't know. And I have to respect them. I have to respect all my kids. Now, with OnlyFans, you can go as far as you want. I think you've got porn and all of that on it. Or you could just keep it in bikinis, underwear. And that's like what I do. And I love it. Absolutely love it. And it's because they don't do the magazines these days. I mean, I used to do them weekly, day in, day out. And they don't do it.
Do you miss it?
I love it. Yeah, because I love it. I love being in front of that camera. So that's what I do for OnlyFans. Now, obviously, if I'm going to go down the road, no disrespect to anyone else who does it, it's because sex sells. Obviously, if I was going to go down the road of fully nudes and doing sexual stuff, that's a boundary I feel I've crossed for my kids. I've never done it before, so why would I do it now?
And there's not
and
the
you
need.
could, of course, I'd make loads more money doing that. But at the end of the day, it's not always about money. You've got your family there. And whether you've got money or not, family is always there. So I do respect my kids.
And how have you, throughout the years, been in control of your like sexuality and your image that's been put out in the media? Do you feel like you have had control of that?
No, I've just been me. This is it. If I see an outfit, I'm going to wear it. All right, there's times growing up where I've been pierced and out. And for my kids to see stuff like that, but I'm only doing what everyone else did my age. I was never conscious like, oh, I can't do that because I'm being watched. It's all I knew. And when people say to me now, what's it like having the paparazzi follow, having cameras around or this and that, and I'm like, well, I don't know any different. I really don't. I don't know what it's like to have someone else's life where they got a 9-to-5 job or they can go out and not one person recognise. I don't know because it's never happened to me.
I think your life has just been sensationalised so much. Like I said, like it's so relatable compared to what is available on social media and online and on OnlyFans now. You've never been doing anything that crazy. Do you know what I mean? But actually,
but it's weird. I've had friends around me who I thought were friends who end up cloning into me. And I think they think, God, how can Kate make this money? All she does, she's always in her tracksuit at home, chill, drinking tea. If she could do it, I can do it. And I've had so many people try and clone into me. But if I knew what it was that keeps me out there, I could advise a lot of people. I don't know what it is. And then it ruins relationships with me because people are like, well, if she could do it, I could do it, or this and that. And it's, I don't think people can understand how normal I am, but yet I'm so written about. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes complete
what
sense.
What makes me different to another girl? Yeah. And I don't know that either. I actually don't. I wish someone could tell me. But I am a rocky road person. Like, I don't take a smooth path. I am a risk taker in, you know, when I've done press calls in the past, dressed up, you know, I was half a horse for one of them, and people will be like, Kate, you can't do that. And I'm like, well, don't be there then. This is what I'm doing, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm very creative.
Do you think that's ADHD as well?
I think it is. Now, I know the word ADHD is everyone's now, so I've got ADHD.
Yes.
Right, everyone says it just because they might be a bit hyper and stuff. And I actually heard on the radio yesterday something about the medication that it's gone up such a percentage that now...
Of people taking it?
Yeah, that now they'll only start giving out the meds for people who've actually been assessed now.
And have you?
Yes. And let me tell you, it's not like you sit with a doctor for an hour and they go tick, 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 well, yeah, you've got ADHD. It isn't like that. It's such a long process.
Okay.
Your family have to fill out so many forms from when you was younger. I'm not allowed to see them.
Okay.
I have to go through like a booklet of assessments, tests, this, that. You know, it really is quite intrusive from when you're younger to the school reports, things like that.
And when did you go through that process? How old were you?
I did that 2 years ago.
Oh, so literally like yesterday.
Yes, it's not long. Or 18 months ago.
And what made you want to do that?
Was it last June, I think it was? Or was it, it wasn't even 18 months. Because my mum, I think I went through a stage, and not a stage, I've always done it. My reaction to things, my impulsiveness.
Okay.
And the excitement I get, and where I just say things without thinking, and like, or even with the Instagram, if someone says something about me, then I'll bite back and put the quotes on, this, that.
Yeah.
And then I realised it had a consequence. Me doing that, then would create drama, then it would be more press stuff. And I've learnt, it's taken me ages, but I've now learnt, people will notice on my Instagram now.
Yeah.
They don't see so much quotes. There's no me having a go at people. There's none of that now. And if I get a text or an email that I don't particularly like, before I would have just reacted, rah, rah, rah. And now I think about it, take a breath, or just wait, not reply, or I might do it the next day so I can think about it. So my head's not in that fizzy mode.
And
have you
had somebody helping guide you through that process?
Therapy.
So talk to me about therapy. How old were you when you first? Is this the first time you've kind of had therapy, or?
So the past few years, I had a breakdown.
Okay.
Tried to hang myself. Well, I didn't try. I did hang myself, and so I survived it. I had all black eyes, and I know I say it's so flippant, but obviously I've had loads of trauma built up that led me to that stage. Then I self-medicated on coke. Okay. And I think people were shocked on that because everyone knew I wasn't the girl to ever do that. Yeah. Drink, I could go out and drink. Yeah. Although I've never been in the Priory for addiction, I've been there twice as an inpatient, as a general patient, to deal with my traumas, and therapy all in that. And I still have therapy now once a month, or if I need it a bit more, it's just a check-in, I call it.
And finding a therapist is really hard. I think finding a therapist that works for you is definitely, I think people think they struggle for so long and then they admit that they need help, they want to go to therapy, but then that in itself is a process as well.
You've got to want to help yourself. That's all I can say. If you don't want to help yourself, it doesn't matter how many times you go to a hospital
Yeah.
or therapy. It doesn't matter how much your family be like, you need help, because that makes it worse.
Yeah.
You've got to want to do it yourself. And it was the best thing I've ever done. I wish I knew about all therapy and stuff earlier on to help me deal with situations.
It's crazy though that you didn't, because
I didn't know about it. It wasn't really mental health.
But where's your team? Like, I just feel
with
like
the team, there are people who've stitched me up, gone. New team, stitched me up, gone. And this is what happens.
They're profiting off like your unhappiness, basically.
All of it. So I don't have a manager now. My sister helps me and my brother.
Yeah.
Don't have a manager. I'm not being dictated by anyone anymore. I'm my person and I do what I want to do. I make my decisions. I do my diary. And it's so much better. Time management, I learnt about that. Not fitting everything in all in one day, because I've noticed what would make me be like, I'm going to be late. And we all do it.
Yeah.
We all do it. And I've thought, right, what will help me and help my head? Yeah. Number one is don't fit too much in one day.
Yeah.
Because I never normally thought about travelling time. I'd be like, I can get here and I'll get there, get there. And before you know it, you're stressed and you turn up. You're like, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So sorry, this has happened, that's happened. And then you're in that state like that.
Yeah.
So I do that. I do work in school hours.
Nice.
For the kids.
Stop hustling so hard, basically. Like,
balance it hasn't made a difference to what I earn. I don't have to turn work down.
Good.
It's just that you have to put them in a different day or a different date. So it hasn't stopped anything, because I think I used to think, well, if I can't do it then, I won't be able to do it. So I've got to fit it in.
Again, I think that's another really important message for people watching at home.
Yeah.
I think we're in a culture where girls want a girl boss, like, so hard. You got to do everything. You got to be everything. You got to look a certain way. And then you'll get
exhausted though.
And
mentally.
You burn out.
You burn out. So you're not. If someone wants you for a job, they will wait for the date for you to have that job.
Especially if you're pricey.
Well, I don't have that attitude, but I don't have that. But it's true, and it's like, just relax about it. And then what helped me is doing like a circle, like a pie chart.
Okay.
So someone who's didn't have therapy or anything, how I was, and you're stressed or something. In this pie chart, it's 100%, 100%. Do a percentage of your day. For example, what percentage in your life do you spend on work? What percentage do you spend seeing your family? What percentage do you see seeing your friends, holidays, self-care, hobbies, this, that? Put it all in a circle, and then you can see what you're doing more of. And if you want to change it, how you can move things around to change it. And that's like what I did.
So like
I felt I was just working too much. No self-care.
Yeah.
Saw my family, but I wasn't doing hobbies, wasn't doing things I like. I was just doing everything for everyone else. And it becomes not healthy.
So talk to me about self-care, because that was one of my questions.
Yeah.
What are the things that you do on a regular basis? And not just, I think, again, self-care is often seen as like putting on a face mask, and it's so much deeper than that.
No,
what are the things
like
you do that keep you sane?
Well, I think naturally, like having my nails done, eyelashes,
same,
and all of that.
Same.
Is that self-care? I would say that's more maintenance, just what girls do for yourself anyway. You could say it's part of self-care because you're looking after yourself. But self-care for me is doing something where it's just you. Whether you're in the bath and you know, you get your phone on or whatever and you can watch telly, and then you can put all your scrubs on, sit there, face mask, just take your time, no one rushing you. Or you could just go out and walk the dog. I like being around my horses, just being out there in my wellies in the mud. I love all that. And just like making horse feed up, smelling the hay. I don't know, it's really weird. Or being in the car, just playing your own music track.
Tunes,
And if you want to keep putting that song back on and going, right, I'm going to listen to it again. You've got no one else going, oh, do we have to listen to it again? Turning it up, just things like that for yourself.
So alone
doesn't matter how big, it doesn't have to be an expensive thing. It's just alone time for you to chill. Because I sometimes think when you're listening to music, it takes you like old school music, takes you back into good places, and you think of things.
So give me some tunes that are on your playlist. Your old school tunes.
Well, actually, because I'm doing singing, now I'm not a singer, But I've always loved singing. I always wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate now that these past 2 years, I don't know what's happened. It must have been me manifesting. I'm getting booked for lots of prides, clubs, all of that singing, and I am releasing an album.
Oh, amazing.
But I've started off with old school club classics.
Oh,
my favourite. So I've been in the studio recording my versions of this song, like Finally.
That is my favourite.
That one. So when I go and perform, I do them all live, so no one can stitch me up. And I've done songs I know that I can do. So I've done like that one. What kind of thing? Oh, let me be a fantasy.
You're such a good singer.
No, but I've done all covers of what the songs that make
that
me
you
smile.
Enjoy. Exactly.
Yeah. And everyone will go, oh, I love this song.
Yeah.
It brings you back in time. So I've done all of that. So happy songs, I think they are. No, I just absolutely love it. And I make sure I spend time with the kids, my family, horses. I get so... This is how sad I am. In fact, we're all sad in my house. Because obviously Junior lives with me with his girlfriend.
Okay.
Princess lives with me and her boyfriend's always there. And all the kids, the animals. So at night, we get so excited to have tea and biscuits. What are we going to watch? At the moment, we're all watching Maths.
Yeah, me
and
too.
we're like, hurry up, come on, because we won't sit down.
Until everyone's there.
down. I'm like, right, let's watch it now. And then we pause it. Does anyone want a cup of tea? Oh, come on, let's just watch it. And then we all watch movies. I get so excited to go home just to do all that and just have a laugh.
What's
we love
that
it.
old school program that's like, night James, night Ellie, night... That's
I
like
don't know, but it is like that. What is that, the Waltons or something?
Yeah.
But I just love it. It's either they're playing football in the kitchen. They got the garden, the whole house play football. But no, they have to do it in the kitchen. And Bunny, her gymnastics beam, they want it all in the kitchen. So everything happens in the kitchen, the hub of the house. But I love it.
And how have your kids and like your family life, how has that evolved and adapted? You know, obviously you said 3 years ago you were in a really difficult place.
I feel bad for the kids because at the time when you're in a place like that, you really are in a dark place. You don't realise how much it affects your family and friends.
Do you talk? Is it something you speak about with your kids or?
Not the younger ones, but Junior and Princess, so they understand because they didn't really know what mental health was. I don't think many people do.
Exactly.
I do think a lot of people do play on now all these labels.
Yeah.
And I'm not a hard sucker to fall for people with labels, even though I was diagnosed with ADHD. And by knowing that, I now know how it's made my life better by understanding.
Yeah.
But also with Harvey,
yeah,
he's got every bloody label under the sun. But he has got it. He's not going to lie in assessments, do this. He generally has. And I've been around, because I've grown up with Harvey, around other kids who are now like young adults who have got all these different things. So I really see how it affects people. And I just think people sometimes use mental health and labels as an excuse for something. When maybe they just need a bit of therapy or something.
It's just about a conversation. And I think this is it. Like, I think checking in with your kids and having those kind of conversations about how you're feeling is...
And talking to it. The thing I did when I wasn't in my good place, I didn't tell anyone.
Exactly.
I'd be like... When I was on Loose Women,
I
was at my worst. And you would never think it, because I'd go on... Hi everyone.
You know what? I've heard a few people talk about that. I don't know if it's something about Loose Women, but like that. I think it was Jamelia. Jamelia did a podcast recently, and she was saying that she had
a bit of bait, and I'm gonna get in trouble. Sorry, I'll get in trouble on my own podcast.
This is why you're relatable.
But I've been dying to hold this. The
so
dummy.
It's just having it in your hand as well.
Yes. So I don't care.
I saw something with Jamelia recently where she said that she had a breakdown a few years ago, and again, she was still going out to work every day. And then I think, she was saying she was on Loose Women. And that's when she was at her lowest. And every day she would get up.
Same as me. Which is, I don't know how. When I look back at them periods, it makes me feel sick.
You don't recognise yourself?
No. And I just look at it. This is what's weird.
Yeah.
Now I've come out the other end. It's like a washing machine, I say I've been in.
Okay.
So I've got the knowledge and the experience. And... trust me, I don't think there is absolute nothing else that could possibly happen to me.
I always say that, and then something happens.
Yeah, but like, what haven't I gone through?
Yeah.
And I've come out the other end. And what's sad is, I look at myself when I was in that time, and I feel really sorry for that girl. I look at me and think, oh my God, how? Because at the time I thought, how am I going to get out of this hole? I was like, my life's over. Like, what's going? Now I look back and think, bloody hell, I feel so bad. But how I've come through that the other end. But I've only done it because I wanted to do it, and I've worked hard on doing it. That you can do it.
So what was it that made you
want to do it?
There was
too many things.
Or want to do it, to come out
because
of it?
Because it wasn't me, and I knew it wasn't me, but I didn't know what to do to help myself, because I'd say to people, no, I'm fine.
Yeah.
When inside I wanted to cry and go, I'm not fine, help me. But I didn't know what the actual problem was.
Yeah. Or sometimes
it's not that I didn't know. There was so much going on, so much for my poor little head to deal with. And then it just become noise, like noise.
Yeah. And I think sometimes when you've been a woman who's overcome so much on her own and is very independent, and it's something that I can relate to in a smaller sense than you, obviously. But
this is the thing. It doesn't matter. I learnt this in the Priory.
Okay.
So you'd listen to other people's stories while they're in there. You'd sit in a circle. Someone could say something, and I'll be thinking, what, you're in the Priory just for that? So minor. But to them, it was so massive. So if someone says, oh, mine's only small compared to yours, but it was obviously big. It was a big thing for you.
Yeah.
It might be small when you say it to me,
themes.
but
all
it can
women.
affect you the same way.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how big or small the problem is.
Yeah.
It's how it's processed in your head.
And I think that, especially, I think sometimes I feel sorry for people like coming up now, but I also think when you've been around or you've seen the world change so much, our brains aren't yet adapted to catch up with all this extra stuff that we have to do every single day as a woman.
It is, and I think it's harder for people now because of social media and stuff. You know, I remember the days of castings. You know, you drive to a casting, portfolio, girls sitting there. And whereas now there's so many gorgeous girls or different shapes, sizes and girls on Instagram. Yeah. There's just so many now. Like, the competition is mad. But I always say to people, competition is good. It's healthy. It should give you a drive. Yeah. And I say to Princess, because she doesn't use filter, clearly I do. And I'm like, well, I'm allowed, I'm 46, Princess. But if you look at all my old pictures, they never had airbrushing and all that then. Yeah. So it's different, but she knows that. Most girls all start looking the same. So
morphing into like versions of each other.
Yeah, personality is key. Actually, that's what might have got me far.
Yeah, it's
personality, because there were so many gorgeous girls when I started.
Yeah.
But that you would talk to them and there was just like nothing there. Like, oh my God.
So again,
So maybe personality is key, because I was always cheeky, always have like banter with the photographers or anyone there, talkative.
And that comes out through the pictures,
yeah, maybe
right?
that is, because a lot of people say, Kate, you always are, like, you walk in a room and you're like,
Light it up.
hey everyone.
So that's, again, in terms of
helps,
the rule book that we're trying to come out with, your advice to young women watching this would be like, you know, I think so many people put pressure on themselves to look a certain way, but actually focus on your personality.
Personality is key. You can be not the best looking person, but if you've got a good personality, that shines way more.
And in this industry as well, I think a lot of girls are, you know, altering themselves to think that they need to look a certain way to be successful.
I alter myself, but I know, and I've been told, that for me, there's something, I haven't had therapy for it yet, but I am going to do it for the reason why do I feel the need to keep having surgery. It's not normal.
When did that start?
Well, I had my boobs done when I was young, but I didn't
But
start
that was just that,
but I didn't start my face till in my 40s.
Okay.
But I don't know if it's, well, I've been told it's probably to do with relationships for men from a very young age.
Okay.
Obviously, I was abused. It's in my book. And then I've always attracted the wrong kind of men.
Yeah.
So I never knew what a healthy relationship was. So I've also had therapy of knowing what a healthy relationship is and recognizing red flags, toxic relationships, narcissist relationships. I never knew any of that.
That was one of my next questions. 3 red flags. What are the 3 red flags you've learned from the relationships that you've been in, or behavior types that you would have as a harsh red line from now?
You should be able to go out with your friends and see your friends. You shouldn't have a man that goes through your phone. And if you're out working and stuff like that, where are you, what you doing, who you with, show me, things like that. Just all this kind of pressure, because do you know what I mean? Normal stuff. And you should be able to be yourself.
Yeah. And I think that's so difficult for young girls.
And it's always in the beginning of a relationship. They love how you are and how you look. They love that.
I think that's key.
But then when they fall in love with you,
they want to change.
And I'm not doing that anymore because I am me. I'm not being suffocated by anyone. If I'm at a family barbecue, I'm not going to sit there like that and not talk to anyone because I'm told to just sit with me or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a talkative and I want to get to know people.
Yeah.
I'm nosy. I like conversations. It's things like that.
I think that's really key what you touched on, because I think for young girls now, not just all women are, at risk of being, I think now there's so many,
But it's
lost
the same
men.
with men. You get some psycho women who like it over men.
Yeah.
It's
true.
like, and I never understand, especially with me. They know what I do for a living.
Yeah.
They know how many kids I've got. They know I'm out. They just know. And exes will always be brought up.
Yeah.
It's not my fault. Like, if you can't handle knowing I've got a past that's very publicly out there, knowing what I do for a living and stuff, don't make out in the beginning you're fine with it all.
Yeah.
And then do that to my head when you're with me, trying to gaslight me that it's not good, that I'm a slag, I'm a slut, I'm this and that.
Yeah.
It's all that I just can't do it.
Yeah, I think...
Me trying to change to keep them happy. But I do think in relationship, you both work at it together.
You work at it together.
But you can't change people. You can adapt if you want to, but you can't be forced. I mean, I'm very family orientated as well. I love with my family, and I love having my other half be round with my family. We're having roast dinners where you stay over.
And this is the thing. You've described your home life as very traditional.
It is.
And one of my questions for you was...
But I've had so many failed marriages.
But do you think it's possible to be a successful woman at the level that you have been and have a traditional romantic relationship?
I've always been the breadwinner. I'm always the one who's earned the money.
Get it, girl?
I've never been with someone ever. Well, I was with Dwight York.
At the time, it was maybe slightly, the power was different at that time.
But he cheated on me in that anyway.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
And he wasn't around for half, so that's a different thing.
Yeah.
I defended myself for me and half,
Yes.
even though Dwight is very welcome anytime to come into Harvey's life. The door is always open because I'm not that kind of person.
Yeah.
But I've never, ever, ever had a man that's earned more than me or treated me or been the breadwinner, basically. I don't know what that's like.
Do you think that's purposeful on your part, or do you think that's something...
No, I just think it's people I meet. I think maybe there's doubt in me that could I meet someone who was like that? Is there... I don't know. Could I meet someone of calibre like up there? No, I don't know. See, it's self-doubt. So we all have self-doubt. I'm always the powerful, and I don't think men like...
And that's what
women
I'm saying.
Who are independent
I think,
as well.
You made a joke about, your failed marriages, but I think it's very difficult to have a successful marriage when the power dynamic is that the woman is more...
Because they get jealous.
They get emasculated. I mean, we're making generalisations, but
it is, but I'm not like that. I never say, oh, I've earned this and I've earned that.
Exactly.
I never discuss it. I'm just as normal. I wouldn't say I'm high maintenance just because I get my hair, nails and that done, but women do that anyway.
You're looking for pure love because you're giving everything else to yourself. All you need is somebody
and I don't think because I've got kids that's an excuse for people not to want to be with me, because my kids are wonderful and they're part of me, and they should be lucky that they're coming into a ready-made
Exactly.
family. I don't, and there's a lot of women out there like, oh, I've got a kid or I've got kids. Who's going to want me? Stuff that.
Decenter men. That is my thing for
No,
2025.
yeah.
Like, actually, why is having a man the prize? It shouldn't
Yeah,
be seen as that.
no, exactly. And I think that I am quite attractive in the way that I'm independent. I run the ship, got the kids. I don't rely on anyone to do it.
But that's why my question to you would be, and it's nothing about any current relationship. It's just a general question in the sense of maybe you would have been more successful if you were with a man that was more than you or who didn't get insecure.
Sometimes I think that because, you know, I'd be all happy, but then I know at the same time I've got messages, how long are you going to be, this, that.
They get
and
jealous.
I'll be like, oh, I've got an interview to do this, that. Well, you said you'll be back at this time. It's that stress. And then you've had such a good day and then you walk in the door and you're deflated like that.
And you've got that traditional role as a woman where you then have to
go home
them
and
back.
be like,
exactly.
Oh, it was brilliant. I wish you had come or come and see.
But you're playing it down because you want to make them feel
and
important.
It's that's exhausting in itself.
Yeah, that's really, really hard as a woman.
It really is. So it's funny, actually, on my podcast with my sister, we had a conversation about what would be your perfect date.
Okay.
And I laughed and said, do you know what my perfect date would be? A man to send his driver to me and say, do you know what? I'm not taking no for an answer. I'm going to take you to Harrods. We're going to go in all the designer shops and we're not leaving each designer shop until you've got 4 bags and shoes and all that in each shop. I know it's unrealistic because I've never had
but
it.
even just one.
Yeah, and like I'm going to get you an outfit and then we'll take you back to the hotel, you relax, have some treatments, and then we'll go for a nice dinner tonight. You put all your outfits on, and then they'd be like, right, at the weekend, I'm going to whisk you away. And so it's like, it's a bit extreme. I'm like, because I've never had it. And I do hear girls that have
Get
that.
There's some
I've just never even been close to it. I'm not saying that I'd want it.
Why
not? Well, I would.
Yeah, come on.
We all wouldn't say no to that.
Exactly.
And it's like, because I've never had it. And I think to myself, what is wrong with me? How do some of these girls who don't do anything like me get these kind of guys? And I think, is it because I'm independent and successful that men find me a threat, that they don't want to do it?
It is so refreshing.
Because a lot of successful men seem to have wives at home doing all the mummy bit while they're off working. Whereas because I am strong, independent, but they would have fun with me as well. It doesn't mean to say I can't do all the fun.
Well, it sounds like you are. You're doing tea and biscuits and, you know, on the...
But do you know what I mean? I can do all different... But that's me. It's not that I play a role. It's just naturally what I'm like. But I always think, why is it all these powerful men seem to have women who go for lunches, this and that? I'm like, God, imagine that life. But I do like to work. But
I think it's so
they
refreshing.
Might be threatened by...
To hear that you feel and have exactly the same worries as I think the majority of women out there, in just the sense of sometimes you can't help but compare yourself and compare your situations.
Of course you do, because I think, bloody hell, I've done so much and conquered so much, and I still am focused and driven and got the drive, and I've got all my 5 beautiful kids. I run the ship, I still work, I love it, and
who's looking after Katie? You know, it's that. You know, everybody needs a little something back, right? So,
and I went through a stage where, like with friends and stuff, I filtered out friends out my life now, because I'd end up going out and they want to go to places which obviously, if you want to go to, make sure you can afford to go. But it got to a point where, it's all right. And then I'd get the bill and pay for everyone.
Yeah.
And inside, I'd be like, is anyone else going to offer? Even though I'd be like, no, I'll pay. It's the thought of someone else offering.
Yeah, it's the principle.
I can't have people like that around me anymore, because
when you're a giver,
friendship is,
you just have the piss taken out of you.
Yeah, and I have got some real strong friends I've known for years who are not like that, never been like that, not trying to ride off my back for anything, and we're still friends. And like, you might not see them for months or whatever, and then when you meet, you just kick off for where you are, and that's the nice friendships for me.
We've covered so much stuff today, but if you could sum up your philosophy looking forward now in a sentence, what is that?
So, I've rehearsed everything. I've got the knowledge and the experience, and I feel how I am now is like when I started my career. I've got the hunger, the drivenness in me, if that's a word, and that excitement that I'm going to get my empire back like I had before and more. And because my brain is now refreshed, I'm refreshed, I know what's important, and I know how to handle things now, diary-wise, the pie chart, to stick to that. And everything I have learned and put into practice has worked, and there's always a smile on my face now. And I go to bed excited, and I don't know what I'm excited about. And I wake up excited. I don't go to bed with a knot in my stomach anymore of worry. I go to bed excited, and that's a big thing. I wake up every day and I'm like,
That's so powerful.
but it's taken a long time to get there.
Well, I'm so happy to hear that everything that you've been on, the journey that you've been on and everything that you've experienced has made you almost come full circle. That's kind of
It
what
is a full circle, but I've got the knowledge and experience now.
Under your belt.
Yeah, and I love it.
Thank you so much for joining
you.
us today. It's been a
Right,
pleasure.
fuck off now, I'm going. No,
Peace.
I'm joking. Yeah.